Welcome to People Doing Good for Others, where we celebrate, praise, and hold in the light those wonderful individuals who are truly making a difference in our communities. I'm Gary York, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. We want to thank Wilkes Communications, RiverStreet Productions, and 100.9 WIFM. And again, I'm honored that you would choose to be with us. Our featured guest is Sam Yount, outstanding educator in the Wilkes County schools. In fact, he is the Teacher of the Year in the Wilkes County schools. He's in his 5th year. He's a graduate of Appalachian State. He's the 7th grade language arts teacher at West Wilkes Middle School, and just an outstanding person who answers a high calling. And I'm glad you're with me today, Sam, and you're the Teacher of the Year. Let's tell us a little bit about that experience, if you will.
Sure, Gary. Let me say it's an honor to be here with you and have this opportunity. I will first begin by saying I was very shocked when it was announced that I had been selected as Teacher of the Year. I felt that there were much more deserving candidates than myself, much more experienced candidates than myself, but I'm very honored to be here with you. I'm very honored to represent Wilkes County as their Teacher of the Year and to advocate for both our county and the students that we teach every day in our classrooms.
A little bit about West Wilkes Middle, just kind of frame how it is in a day there, if you will.
We start in the morning. Students come to us at 7:20 in the morning, and I teach 4 core classes a day, meaning 4 language arts classes during a day. Our classes are about an hour and 10 minutes long. During the middle of the day, our students go to exploratory classes, and those are classes such as art and PE, STEM, which is technology and science. Wow. Computer business classes that they go to during the middle of the day, and then we have lunch and what we call PA time, which is a physical activity time for students to go outside. It's part of our Leader in Me program that we've instituted this year at West Middle, as well as the other middle schools within the county. And so we have a full day. It's very busy, it's fast-paced. We try to get as much academic time as we can. But there's also the time built in for students to let out some of that energy during the course of a typical school day.
Sam Yount, I want you to expand a little bit on the Leader in Me. We'll visit that 2 or 3 times today. Give us an idea of what is the Leader in Me.
Sure. Leader in Me is a program that came to us at the beginning of last year, and that we've started the process of it this year. It was Stephen Covey, who was a speaker, author, I think at one time an educator as well. And Leader in Me is basically character education and goal setting for students. Students assess areas in their life of strengths and weaknesses, and then they set goals and try to meet those. It might be academic goals if they need to improve in areas that they feel that they have deficiencies. They'll set those academic goals. If it may be social goals or personal goals that they have to set for themselves. But essentially it's just giving kids the tools, giving them ways to be successful, not only in school but outside of school, and help them be proactive and help them be accountable and responsible for their own success. So it's been a good program thus far, and we'll see where we go with it as we move forward into the next few years.
And you indicated a significant enhancement, this PT, or the playtime. A little bit more about that, Sam.
Yeah, our PA time is probably one of the best things that we've done in the last few years at school. The way it works is that students have the ability to go outside for 25 minutes after lunch. And as we discussed before, release some of that energy that middle schoolers most often have. But students who are falling behind, or students who are failing classes, or maybe students who have just missed academic work, they can come in, and there are teachers who will help them, remediate for them, review with them, help them make up or close learning gaps that they may have. So it's a great opportunity for those students who are caught up and who get the opportunity to go outside. And it's a great opportunity for those students who have fallen behind, or those students who need additional help and support. It's been a great program this year that we've done, and we're going to continue to do that as we move forward into next year and the coming academic school years.
Sam Yount is the Wilkes County Teacher of the Year. I was there at that celebration, and great day for the school system. Some 400 individuals come together to honor the Teacher of the Year, and we're grateful that you're with us today. Also, language arts. I want you to explain for us exactly, you do this as your calling. What does that mean?
Language arts is essentially English. Sometimes you say language arts as it's called in middle school and people become confused, but it's English. We work on writing conventions. We work on, sometimes at a very basic level, we work on spelling and we work on vocabulary. We read literature, we read informational text, sometimes from the newspaper or for science-related articles, history-related articles. And it sets those foundations for students as they move into high school to be successful as readers, but also as writers, and I think most importantly as communicators, because I think as we see it with the advent of social media, a lot of times, as many benefits as technology has, I think to some degree we're losing that sense of personal communication. And kids need that, students need that. They need to build those skills as they go forward in school, but also into the 21st century and into the work world.
Do we still diagram sentences? Do you do things like that?
I think they diagram sentences at the high school level.
Okay.
We do not. We do work on a lot of grammar, parts of speech and punctuation and those type of things, and clauses and phrases. But diagramming sentence, I think that comes as they move into high school.
Preparation, a lesson plan. Talk about inspiring youngsters. Give us an idea about how we lift folks. I can see you as being a very dynamic, inspiring young leader. Tell us about, how does it feel to be in the classroom?
Well, Mr. York, we discussed before, and as I told you before, I'm also a coach, and I think I feel like teaching, a large part of teaching is also coaching, and helping students see the strengths that they have, even if they themselves oftentimes do not see those strengths. And sometimes that takes reinforcement and encouragement, and that's something that I feel that students need. They need to hear that they have a purpose. They should set goals for themselves. And I think for me, being able to do that on a daily basis, being able to look at kids and help them realize their own potential is the greatest part of my job, building those relationships and helping kids understand that there's a purpose, there's something bigger than maybe they could think about right now. It's a wonderful part of my job, and it's the reason that I show up for work every day.
Sam Yount, you also shared with me that youngsters want structure. Let's go there for a few moments, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to provide some context to that statement, I think sometimes we don't always remember those teachers that maybe were lax, or the ones who you were allowed to do whatever in their class. We remember those teachers who held us to a certain standards, those ones who required us to go the extra mile. That's the ones that I remember. And so I think for us, it's not being a authoritarian. I think for middle school especially, you have to allow students to find themselves and have some sense of freedom, but they also need that structure, whether it's academic structure, social structure, to realize what they can do. And I know for my classroom in particular, we structure our classroom in a way that helps students discover what specific strengths they may have. And as I tell my students, sometimes your strength may not be that of the same as your peers, the person sitting beside of you. But if you bring all of those together,
Wow.
and you work together as a team, you can do some pretty amazing things. And I think structure can take on a number of approaches, or you can approach it in a number of ways. But I think students, especially at that age, especially during that adolescent period, they need the structure. in order to be successful, and more importantly, in order to prepare them going forward for a very competitive work environment, academic environment that they will face as they move through the different hurdles that they face in life.
Sam Yount, you spoke of being a writer. Will you help us a little bit of what is some of that instruction about writing, teaching youngsters to write?
Sure, and I think writing sometimes is difficult, and I still sometimes struggle.
Like telling a story, is that
absolutely
what it is?
Sure, I think sometimes it is, and students will write and they'll tell their own stories, and sometimes that's the best writing that we get in the classroom. Because they have that personal connection to it, and so they're able to relay their own feelings and experiences, and that's a really cool thing to see.
Do you have youngsters that will look forward to doing a book report or standing in front of the group and telling the story? That must be so exciting to find a youngster that maybe has been able to overcome fright or being afraid. Share that with us.
Yeah, and most middle schoolers love to talk about themselves, and that's not a bad thing.
Wow.
But yeah, a lot of our students, they love to get up and they love to present what they've constructed in the class, whether it be writing or whether it be a project. And I think for them it's empowering as well. It gives them the opportunity to in a way, take a leadership role and stand in front of their peers. And so it's a great opportunity for them, and it's great preparation for those things that we previously talked about in terms of going forward and into high school and into college.
My thought process just turned to the youngster who's sitting and listening. Will they often encourage the speaker or compliment them, or how does that dialogue, that interaction with students when we're talking about being in front of the class? Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. And I hope this answers the question. My class from the beginning of the year, when they present or when they read something, they are encouraged, and we try to get in the habit of congratulating and cheering for, clapping for when they're finished, or applauding the presenter. And I think that's a big part of helping them with their confidence. Even those students who do not want to present, it plays a big part in helping with giving them the courage maybe the next time, or maybe the next time that they have a bigger presentation or they're on a bigger stage. Hopefully that helps with those types of things.
Well, I can just feel being in your class and seeing that and hearing that and pulling for the underdog maybe. Do you have underdogs? Tell me about how do you lift that person?
I think you do. I think in every class you have those students who do not see the potential that they have, and I had several students like that this year, and we worked. And sometimes in those stories you don't always have the end result that you would want. It's not always the happy ending where they succeed to the level that you think they can. But several instances this year we had students who were struggling academically who came in. And I have 3 individuals that I'm thinking about in particular who had scored a level 1, which is the lowest level that you score on an EOG in English language arts. And through some work and through some dedication on the part of the students this year, 3 of the students that I have in mind scored a level 4 on their English language arts EOG, which is a credit to the work that they put in. And it was pretty amazing to see their reaction and to see the personal victory that they felt when they had accomplished that. So that's a great thing to see.
Thank you for sharing that with us today. Let's go back to growing up and your family and how we got started. Just it's a great story of your mom and dad and sister, and tell us about that.
Sure. I grew up in the Hickory area, as I told you before, Granite Hickory area, and I grew up, and neither one of my parents had gone to college. They were very hardworking individuals. They worked very hard to provide for myself and my 3 siblings. But growing up, I had no intention, or in my mind, I didn't think that college was a possibility, and I certainly never envisioned myself as a teacher. as I went through high school, as a lot of high schoolers, I was trying to assess and think about what possibility I might have once I had finished. And my sister had enrolled in college, and she was constantly asking me what my plan was. And at the time, I had no plan. Upon graduating high school, I began working for a construction company, and I worked there for 3 years. And I don't know if it happened on a whim or one day I decided I should pursue a higher education. And so I enrolled at the community college, which was Caldwell Community, and went there for 2 years. And initially I wanted to be a social worker. I'm not sure what brought that about, but I knew that I wanted to help people. I had the desire to help people in some way. And I thought that would be the best path to take. As fate would have it, somewhere in there I changed, and I've always had a love for reading and a love for history, and I decided to pursue education. And so I transferred to Appalachian State in 2010 and started to work on my education degree. And it was the best decision that I ever made, because I was able to have an opportunity to learn under some phenomenal professors, and I was able to meet a number of people who
were you that underdog?
I feel like in some ways maybe I was that underdog, but I think having that experience of growing up, it allows me to seek out and look for those students who maybe think that they can't succeed, or they have no opportunity to go to college, and try to build them up and allow them to see that there is something that they can accomplish, right, in a way to not only help themselves and better their own lives, but to help others. And I think that's a great thing.
So you've gone from being were you a master carpenter?
I was not a master carpenter. In fact, I was kind of a grunt laborer. I was helping with cleanup, or we did kind of an odd type of, it was called masonry insulation. And so we would have a 50-pound drill, and you would drill into block walls. Right. And so it was a hard job. I will say that I learned a lot from it. I learned a lot about work ethic. But I'm very happy in what I do.
You also learned about that company virtually going under, or it just didn't exist, and you were searching for the real Sam Yount.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And that was the other part of it. You're right, Gary, that while I was working for the company, it was during the recession. Yeah. That started there in 2008.
Circumstances.
Sure, absolutely. And some people are I guess, victims of circumstances. I was a beneficiary of circumstances, because when the company went under, I was unsure of what I was going to do, and so I decided to enroll in community college, and from there transferred to Appalachian, and it was a great thing that happened for me, and I learned a lot from it.
Sam Yount, you're the Teacher of the Year in Wilkes County, and quite an honor and deserved.
Thank you.
I've learned a lot about you, and I like the person you are. How'd you get to Wilkes County?
I came here because my wife brought me here. My wife, who I met at Appalachian.
Tell us about Danielle.
Sure. Danielle is the best thing that ever happened to me. She is a math teacher at West Middle too, so she has to put up with me at home as well as at work. We met and we didn't. We weren't, I would say, we weren't really even friends in college. We had known each other through acquaintances, and we were going through the same middle school program. But in my last year at Appalachian, we began talking as friends, and she took a job here in Wilkes County at West Middle, and I took a job in Catawba County at Maiden Middle. And as things would go, we became closer, and we got engaged after our first year of teaching. I tried very hard to get her to move to Catawba County, and she wouldn't have none of that. And so, as ladies usually have it, she won the battle. And I came here. I was very hesitant, and I was to come to Wilkes County because I was very happy at the school I was at. But as I said at the Teacher of the Year celebration, it was a great choice, and I'm much better for it. And it's been a great opportunity to work here in Wilkes County Schools, and certainly at West Wilkes Middle. It's a great place to be.
You're a winning track coach. Tell us a little about that, if you will.
Absolutely. I actually didn't have a track background. I had a cross-country background, but when I came to West Middle, I took the job as the track coach, and we this year at the conference tournament, we had a great group of kids. Couldn't ask for a better group of kids to coach in the last few years, and so we competed, and it was a very, very close competition at the end. In fact, the day of the competition, we were told that night that we had lost by 1.5 points, which was disappointing for our kids. And the next morning about 5 a.m., I received an email saying that they had forgotten to score one of our runners, and so we ended up winning by 3 points, which was amazing, most of all for a great group of kids that we had. So they were able to win the conference, and it's a credit to all the hard work they put in. So it was for me, it was one of the happier moments this year to see those kids and what they'd accomplished.
Yeah. Did you kind of, you're self-taught as a track coach, or how does that happen? You read, do you get books and study, or how does it, a lot of times we're called to be the person that we're not yet, and we need to grow into it. How does that work, Sam?
Sure. I'll say that the last 3 years there was a learning curve for me, and the first year I don't know that I was the most effective coach I could be, but I did. I read some books, and we were able to, some parents that had a background in track who had competed in college came and helped us, and
No
mostly,
kidding. Wow.
Absolutely, and I learned a lot from them, and mostly it was just learning and as you go along, and learning from others is what most helped me as a coach. And I've worked with a distance because I feel like that's what I was always most comfortable in. And we have some great parent volunteers. We have Coach Adams, who teaches at West Middle, and Coach Dyer, who helped us out this year. And then my wife, Danielle, she coaches as well. So it was a team effort. It was not one person. It was a collective effort on the part of all the coaches and certainly the kids to bring it all together.
Okay. And so you'll be doing that again next year?
As of now, the plan is to coach again next year. That'd be my fourth year coaching at West Middle. So something that I really enjoy. I feel like coaching and teaching are so very closely related in the lessons that you're trying to teach and what you're trying to accomplish. So,
Sam, Yount, we want to instill the value of volunteering. Will you share some things that go on in a middle school that encourage this valuable character trait of giving in a special way? Do that for me.
Sure.
Will.
We encourage, and a lot of it has occurred through the Leader in Me program. We encourage our students to take what we call student leadership roles. And that might be going out in the morning and helping open doors in the car line, or that might be helping collect the breakfast materials. We have universal breakfast at West Middle, and I know all the schools in the county. Collecting the breakfast materials and making sure that as students come in that they've eaten in the morning so that they can focus throughout the day, or helping a teacher organize a classroom or run errands. So we encourage our students to take on those leadership roles, and I think part of that instills that volunteer mentality that will help them build character as they move forward and as they mature.
Another attribute a given I feel is having high expectations of youngsters.
Sure.
Share that with us, if you will, about what the essence of lifting people by expecting them to do well.
Absolutely. And Mr. York, I think that is tied into what we were speaking about earlier with the accountability piece. And students need to be told very explicitly what's expected of them, academically and as well as within the confines of transitions in a school and sports. And if you tell most students what is expected, they will rise to that. Sometimes it takes a little encouragement, sometimes it takes a little coaching, but most students will challenge themselves to be successful. And I think that all of the really great teachers that I've learned from are ones who emphasize the need for personal accountability and group accountability as well. And we try to strive for that in our classroom and in our school as a whole.
I was sharing with you a personal experience in my life about having a granddaughter who moved from a level in the EOGs, and she said, "Pa, I worked hard. You know, that was my goal. Goal setting." If you'll talk about that a little bit now.
Yeah, absolutely. We have our students, we have what's called personal goal sheets, and they, at the beginning of each year, they come in and they set an academic goal, they set 2 academic goals and then a personal goal. And so the academic goal may be that I want to raise my score 10 points in language arts or math, or I want to improve my overall science average. And then they decide what's a personal goal. And their personal goal may be, I want to make the basketball team this year, or I want to make the volleyball team. And it's just kind of a way of getting on paper something that they want to achieve, and then having them chart their growth, and they do throughout the year. They chart their growth and what they're doing, the time they're putting in, the practice they're putting in to try to achieve that goal. And so that's something that we've seen a lot of success come out of, and we hope to continue doing as we go forward.
Sam, you've talked about working with great teams at West Middle. You've talked about, the role of the custodian. You may be the only smile a youngster will get will be in the cafeteria line. Or tell us about the gratitude that you have for having great people around you. You talked about the team in your 7th grade. Just the essence, if you will, the culture at West Wilkes Middle School.
Absolutely. I am very blessed to be there. It's a wonderful place, and there are wonderful people who teach there. I've told many people before, you go down any hallway and into any classroom at West Wilkes Middle, and you'll find teachers that are much better than myself there, that are doing their job and doing a great job of helping kids learn and grow. I'm very fortunate to be on a phenomenal teaching team. My math teaching partner, Mr. Bauer, and I went through the middle school program at Appalachian, so we've known each other for quite some time. Ms. Stotler, who's been a mentor to me, and one of the best teachers that I've ever had the opportunity to be around, is a great teammate. Miss Blackburn, who's kind of the mother of our team. She keeps us all together and keeps us all grounded. And then I have a great PLC partner, Ms. Sliles, who is my planning partner, who teaches language arts on the other side of the hall. The janitors, the administration,
the bus drivers.
Yeah. Every person at West Middle is invested in the success of the kids there, and that's what's most important. That's why we're there. When those days when you have long meetings, or those days when we become frustrated as teachers, I think you'll always hear someone at West Middle sit down and say, what are we doing that's in the best interest of these kids? And for me, that always brings us back home, and that's always the most important part of our job and our role as educators.
I want to thank our wonderful sponsors, Wilkes Communications, that's given me the opportunity to be here today, and RiverStreet Productions and 100.9 WIFM, and you're getting ready to start on your national board and your masters, and your principal. Let's specifically your principal.
Well, I'll say I do plan to start national boards next year. Now, masters, I may put that off for a while, just as a. But I am very grateful for Ms. Huffman, who's our principal, and Ms. Patrick, who do a great job of supporting us and genuinely care about the teachers who work at West Middle. I'm grateful for that opportunity.
Sam Yount, you answer a high calling every day. I think this is society's greatest gift that individuals who are educators give to the communities. Close with us, if you will, about the gratitude of answering this high calling, if you will.
I am very humbled to be an educator in North Carolina. I'm very humbled to be an educator at West Wilkes Middle. I think it is a calling. I do believe, and I firmly believe, that teaching is the profession that makes all other professions possible. There have been some tough times in the last few years in terms of funding for education and some of the things that have happened in terms of changes to education. But I think that public education is a necessity. I think the success of our community and the success of our state and overall our democracy is directly correlated with the success of public education. And so I hope as a teacher, I hope as a individual who was fortunate enough to be in this role as Teacher of the Year, that I can advocate not only for my kids first and foremost, but for public education and the importance of public education going forward. And so, Mr. York, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's been an honor speaking with you today.
Sam Yount is the Wilkes County Teacher of the Year. We're in good hands with you. As a parent, I would love to have the opportunity to have a youngster of mine in your classroom. And you talk about teams, you talk about people working together. And first of all, you talk about elevating and enhancing the lives of young people. And what an honor, and we hope you'll come back and do this again.
Thank you for the opportunity,
Thank
Mr. York.
you.